Constitution of the United States gives the federal government, the Congress of the United States, very limited taxing authority. Article 1, Section 8 gives the Congress of the United States the authority to levy taxes for three narrow purposes. Any of you hotshot, know-it-all, liberty-loving people know what the three are. All right? Let's go through it very quickly. Number one, to pay the debts of the nation. Congress has the authority to raise taxes to pay the debts of the nation. All right? No question about that. Number two, to provide for the national defense. And number three, and this is the tricky one, this is where it gets a little hairy, is to provide for the general welfare. Well, what does that mean? What does general welfare mean? Well, all we need to do is create a welfare program, and now we can fund it through taxation, right? At the time of the writing of the Constitution, the founding of America, our leaders never would have thought of government payment programs in terms of welfare. They were then, and right up until the 1950s, they were referred to as public relief programs. The term general, the phrase general welfare has a very specific meaning to it. And the founders were adamant as to what that meaning was. There was some debate as to the breadth of the concept, but they knew what the meaning was. And the meaning was that in order for a program to be legitimate under Article 1, Section 8, it had to benefit the nation as a whole. General being read to encompass everybody. Not one segment of society at the expense of another, not one business at the expense of another, not one social concept at the expense of another. If the program didn't benefit everybody, then it could not be funded under Article 1, Section 8. And as a matter of fact, early Supreme Court decisions, back in the days when the Supreme Court could read, the early Supreme Court decisions talked about this, and they narrowed and they honed in on this concept. And in the Butler case, United States versus Butler, talked about this, and I quote the case on page 34 of my paper here, the 10 Principles of Federal Tax Policy. And here's where the court ruled that a tax in the general understanding of the term, and as used in the Constitution, signifies an exaction for the support of the government. The word has never been thought to connote the expropriation of money from one group to benefit another. And yet that's what our tax system has devolved into. A giant transfer system where the fruits of the labor of the people who earn the money peacefully and lawfully are taken to support the non-productive activities of somebody else. Well, but don't they need the help? Maybe they do need the help. That's not the question. The question is, does the tax system and the federal government authorize the taking of resources from those who have earned it to give to those who have not earned it? Under the federal system, the answer is no. There's no constitutional support for it. There is not. And I'll tell you something, folks, as long as we've got a significant component of our population with the right to vote that can vote for benefits that they don't have to pay for, there is no amount of money that will be sufficient to pay for those needs. And there will be no tax system that any mind of man can conceive that will be sufficient to raise that revenue without breaking thumbs. And that's the point that we've reached. That's the place that we've come to.